All right, more tests on this new type of photo paper that I'm very unfamiliar with. Shutterfly prints, some sort of coating on it that I've just never come across before in any type of photo paper. But it's sealed off, so that leaves us with the stays on ink as far as our whatever impression stamping ability, okay? Stays on's pretty well known for being able to stamp on any type of surface, including non-porous surfaces. So, it's the stamp ink that I know that will work on this type of paper. And just to, make things a little bit more interesting, I thought I'd try something new with a photo over photo horizon card test here. So I have two different prints. They're not the same. I guess a mirrored one would be even better, but I'm going to be stamping a lot of imagery on this lower section, so I don't think it will really matter. I don't want anything like too different, like with a lot of blue hard contrast in this lower one for this purpose. But I don't know, we'll just check it and see. Okay, so that is the Seaside Cove Small. Hello, Zale, how are you? And we'll go with the Cozy Cabin right side, the Moonlight ones, night cabins. For the top portion, I don't know, I just had it out and was using it yesterday. And while I have it mounted up, let's try it again here. Okay, so this was my reflection card from yesterday. A real quick and easy card. It's quick and easy because you can't really color these too much. So in one aspect, that could be a weakness in terms of our abilities and what we can do post-impression, after you stamp out your imagery. But on the other hand, it makes for a really quick scene, so that's kind of nice too. But, not being able to color certain things, it doesn't lack for drama, with these photo prints here. All right, so the stays on gives us a really clean impression with no problem. All right. I'll clean this off later. Where did my... I can't find this set here. I'll just put it over here for right now. Okay. What we're looking at right here in a horizon card. Horizon card just where instead of a reflective area down here, we just have another thing going into the horizon like that. So we're looking at this type of thing right here. Hello, Linda. How are you? Yeah, the disappearing ink. Yeah, what a shock that was. I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? My world's like, come crashing down from everything that I knew. And of course, it's on a live stream, those types of moments, it really tests your, your belief on, hey, you just kind of roll with it and you come up with other things. But if I can't make an impression on there, then what am I going to do? So it's like, okay, let's just go back to the stays on, But I really did like coloring on tops of photos, though. And we could still do that. I just have to print it at home, or, I don't know if I send it off anywhere, if it's going to be the same type of print. But if you print it out on like your home inkjet printer, you know what I mean? Then it's not going to be any big deal. It'll be no problem. No problem to, use use the photo prints just as we've been doing in the past. Use your dye-based inks, color them with a dye-based color. I mean, an alcohol-based color. With the dye-based ink impressions. So, yeah. But I don't know, what a shock! It was that moment when I was heat setting it. So all those little beads of ink are like grouping together because they're not, you know, getting absorbed into the paper whatsoever. And it was like, what happened to the ink? It looked like it disappeared to me. But then, of course, when I wiped it off, it's like, oh, it's still there, you know? So that was like really, really bizarre. Yeah, I didn't know what was happening. But now we know, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's what we were kind of speculating, that there's some kind of sealant on top of the card that's applied to the prints coming off of a, yeah, whatever, a printer or developer or something like that. It was, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so using some of the rock clusters off of one of the recent desert nature sets here. And I'm really filling it in here because I have a lot of clouds down here, so I want the texturing of the clouds and everything like that. Otherwise, we might as well be using a, you know, white piece of paper on this. So, but I don't want it so reflective. And this, you know, kind of, you know, this is coming in here and it's washing it, so you'd get some sort of reflection of the, you know, the sky happening in this wet area. It wouldn't be like a mirrored area like this, but you know, I think it looks fine like that. Okay, so you have something like this. If you go digging around in this type of area right here, like you know, on the low tide around these rocks, there's probably a lot of clams in there if you like clams. We used to go clamming when we were kids. Okay, so something like that. And let's get a little more texturing in there. So, like I said, we're filling this in kind of a little bit. And let's go for some toning and texture. Now, I use this all the time, but I guess never more has it been like more important to be able to do this because of that, you know, reduced kind of ability to color with traditional media in here. So yeah. I should I should watch that video and see the look on my face, because I certainly know how I felt. I don't know if I want to relive the nightmare though. That was the infamous Shutterfly print. Whatever, you know, new order, you know, whatever, stamping, you know, celebration. It was to be the moment of, you know, the greatest grouping of photo print, photo stamping, first seen, you know, videos ever. And it turned into, it looked like it was going and becoming a, you know, it had become a nightmare. It was like, we have all these new prints. Look at what we can do with it. Scratch that. But like I said, all these prints, you know, a lot of people have a lot of paper. I don't know if, you know, if everyone still has like inkjet, like color printers at home. Just people are doing a lot less printing these days of things like photos. I don't know, maybe people still have them, you know, scrapbooking, things like that, using their photos, but I don't know. I think there's a lot less printers being sold these days. Printers, of course, fax machines, and what are the all-in-one printer, copier type of thing. All right, so we're getting that filled in, and I think that looks pretty good right there. Just in terms of an overall piece, it doesn't look like, the clouds aren't kind of the dominant texture in there anymore. It just looks like kind of very light on, this surface right in here. And then we have this like that. Okay. It's a little bit busy down here, but I'll try to mellow this out with a little bit of tone if I can. Now, one of the other things I was thinking about doing is kind of doing a light impression of some areas of these cards, okay? Because the biggest thing is going back into these. You can't color them with I don't think with like a dye-based ink. Maybe we can get a little bit of tone down on there, and that's not going to smear the alcohol ink, but we put alcohol on top of solvent ink. That does have the potential of kind of putting it back into solution, smearing it. Now, I have been able to get some tones laid down, like on this one right here. I was looking at this one today, and that green on there looks pretty good. It's a really nice application of that, and that green is really fixed down there. But if I used too much of it while this impression was somewhat freshly stamped, it was going to put it back into solution and drag the impression around and smear it, okay? But in these open areas, you can get some pretty good tone in there, like right around in here or on her, like her violet kind of blanket right there. So we'll try some of that. Okay, but what I was saying was we can probably get some kind of like ghost impression down, maybe using some dye-based ink, okay? You just make an impression, and then where we can see the things are, the objects, the trees, different from the cabin, I think I can take some pens here and color the ghost impression, okay? And then this is going to stick to this type of paper, I'm pretty sure, okay? And then what I can do is I can take like a wet rag and with water and then wipe off the dye-based ink impression, okay? So we're just left with areas of color with the alcohol pens, because the alcohol pens are adhering to it. And then you just stamp right over the top of it with the stays on. So, I mean, I wouldn't color right up to the edges where my registration and getting that stamp on there and the stays on ink has to be perfectly aligned. I'd probably be doing like the interior here, and I would have enough space, leeway for my impression to go on top of there, my permanent impression, okay? So I don't know, that's one of the things I'll test out, and I'll see how that works out, or if it'll work out at all in some future video. But let's see if I can get some of these tones laid out in here. So I'm going to try to go with roughly the same or similar color schemes as that original photo like that. So something like this would probably be okay. Hello, Jeannie. How are you? I was just talking to my sister, Jeannie, and she was talking about that Stones concert. She says it wasn't sold out, and she probably could have got tickets that day, like for a vastly reduced price. I know you paid like $5,000 a ticket, right? You said? Jeannie didn't pay that. I was just joking. But yeah, I don't know. She was just saying that. I said, hey, I knew someone that went to that. Okay, this is a little bit too dark right here. Let's go with something a little bit lighter, like this. Actually, let me see this right here. Let me see if I can do something with this. I'll go underneath here really fast. Okay, and I just pulled that out right there, and I can tell it was kind of smearing right there. It's dragging the ink. But over here, that ink seemed pretty locked down. I'll do a really light, delicate kind of application. I'm just kind of adding this right in the shadow areas like this. I'll be careful not to go over it too much, because if I go like 2 swipes over the same area, I think I'm going to kind of smear it around a little bit. But I think if I go really fast, just like once, I can get a little bit of an application down like that. Okay, it looked like I went in the same spot, but I went like up here, then I went kind of dragged it a little lower. Okay, so see this right underneath the like that curling wave right there. I'm just kind of adding a little bit of tone underneath it to make that wave stand out a little bit more. So we're adding kind of volumes and shadow work into our impressions like that. So I guess if you work fast, you can add alcohol. Now, if you don't do this type of, motion, okay, that would surely lift it. Now, now another thing too, I forgot about this. So maybe we can spray seal this with a spray fixative, and that'll lock down these colors, and then I can color on a little bit more. Okay, not exactly great technique, video making, live broadcast technique right here, but I'm going to go outside really fast now that I'm talking about that. Let me spray seal this with a spray fixative. Okay. And then we'll try coloring on top of it, and we'll see if, that helps out with these pens. If it does, then we are really set, in terms of using these new Shutterfly papers or whatever type of printing technique they're doing. All right, so give me a couple minutes here. Go get your drinks and everything like that. Go take a nap. And I'll be back in about 2 minutes here. All right, I'm back. As I was spraying this, I was thinking a nightmare scenario is if you kind of spray this with an acrylic spray or something like that, and all of this starts going back in solution and starts like smearing or dripping. But the spray fixative, it's really a light spray that kind of dries fast, so doesn't seem to be any kind of problem that I can detect so far. So let me see if I can go in and add a little bit more. Now I gave it a really kind of light coating, so maybe a couple coats would be better, but I had to get back. So hello, Megan. How are you? Ordering some more prints and having so many, but wanted to yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, it's still dragging a little. Let me see here. I think it's locked down more. Okay, I'm going over some areas. Like right in here, I probably didn't spray seal it. I was mostly going up here with my spray sealant. But see, I'm adding kind of these shadowy areas in these rocks right in here. And it appears to be a little bit more locked down. I can't tell, exactly. Let me go with the lighter one now. But see this right here, I added some tones into these rocks at the base of them. I'm not coloring them from bottom to top. I'm leaving the tops a little bit light so that it looks like they're kind of reflecting, the lighting that's coming, into the scene. Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can blend out some of the alcohol inks. things aren't like completely locked down. I'll use a thicker spray, but I'm pretty sure that it's helping a little bit at least. Okay. Like I just went over these little dots at the bottom of that wave, and they look pretty crisp still. So that is good. I used a little bit more sealant up top here. Yeah, that's a pretty clean mark. It's not picking up too much of the that black ink. Okay. I'm going it around in here. Yeah, the closer I get to this, these dots are locked down a little bit more. I didn't spray heavily down here. Yeah. Okay, that's working pretty good. So maybe if you put on a couple coats of a spray fixative, it'll be. I don't know if I would use like a thicker spray, like a Krylon UV, definitely not the triple thick. I think just in my mind, it would go onto the scene or the impressions, okay? And it stays wet for a few seconds. And I think that would be long enough to put the ink back into solution and potentially run a little bit. They dry pretty fast, but not super fast, okay? So in that time that it's still in solution after being sprayed, I tend to worry about that a little bit. I mean, I can do a test sometime, but I don't know if I've done that before, but it sure seems like it would be, have the potential of kind of being a little bit runny. So just be careful about that if you do it, or spray from distance, to get a thinner coat that would dry faster, and then allow it to dry a little bit before applying a second coat on there. Usually with a spray fixative, we're talking about like a few seconds for it to dry. Okay, now in this area right in here, maybe I'll try to get a little bit of a tinge of some other tones in those trees. Um, but okay, this is looking really good. I put a pretty good coating right over in here because the trees were the areas that I was thinking about coloring. And this is looking pretty good, pretty promising in terms of a potential solution for our coated paper kind of issue. All right, so that's some of that. Let me just go with I'll go with a warm tone here. Yeah, it's like way too warm. Let's see. There's so many yellows here, but they're all about the same intensity. Like that. This one's a little bit greenish. I think I want that one. This is, I don't know, I have two sets of pens. That's a little bit too light. That's a little bit duller. I'm looking for the one with the least intensity. So let's try. All right, let me try this here and see if we can indeed kind of blend on here a little bit without putting those details back into solution. I don't know if I want to go with this one. This one's a little bit too light like that. Too warm. It's, here, let me go with a duller green that'll kind of harmonize a little bit better, maybe. Yeah, this one's like too, pastel-y. I can't even see it here. See, I'm trying to move things from kind of the existing color and moving it really incrementally to kind of a brighter intensity or into a different hue. So this is my general kind of approach to that. See, like that, it's just a little tinge of green like that. And again, it's just so that there's less kind of like surprise out of it. I shouldn't say that. There's less kind of unintentional, undesirable surprise. When you just kind of move incrementally, it gets a little bit darker at a time or a little bit brighter at a time. So there's a little bit of green tinge in there. Let's see. Oh, this one's a brighter one. Putting that brighter green, though, on here is pretty bright, but remember, I'm putting it over the top of like colors like this in here, so the colors underneath will show through. And again, kind of scumbling it onto my page, not going for full applications of it, okay? And then we'll go back and kind of blend in a little bit more. Although it's pretty, it looks pretty good. Something like that. And how about a little tinge of like a beige-ish color for my rooftop. The rooftop's looking a little bit stark, isn't it? Something like that. Let's take a look here and see. That little tinge up there of green looks pretty good. A little bit more shading down here. I think that helped our volumes in here. It's still a little bit too textural in here, more than I'd want. So again, we'll use the pigment ink. Works really great on here. Let's see. More pens. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll let us know, Linda. I'm really curious about if it's like a process industry wide in terms of printing. Shutterfly is kind of this national, entity here, so they probably have some kind of central printing plant. So if they have some kind of machine that's spraying it, I got to think it would be only kind of in that mass type of process, but I mean, who knows? They could have some kind of machine that's, that they used to have like in a Costco's or something like that, that are able to apply that coating on them now. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, I'm trying to think of a process right here. I'm going to add in some highlights using my pens first, my acrylic paint markers. And that's because when I use sometimes my pen over the top of pigment ink on there, that pigment ink can go up and it clogs my pens a little bit. I mean, sometimes a lot of times I'll add in the pigment ink first just so I can kind of get my bearings on where the lighting is a little bit more. But from a technique standpoint, let's just go with the pens here first. All right, so I have a lot of these like little cresting waves that are darker because I've stamped them over areas like this, okay? But I want to reclaim some of that light in those areas, and we can do it with stuff like this, or the Brilliance pigment ink like this. The Brilliance pigment ink over this type of paper, we should probably spray seal it again and lock that into there. If I'm applying the Brilliance ink over the top of like traditional papers like this type of emulsion exposed photo paper, like right up here, there's a lot of that pigment ink. That is really locked down, and you really don't have to spray seal it because it's that type of exposed emulsion on there really grabs it. So, yeah. The Stones, I told myself I went to see Pink Floyd at the LA Coliseum, and the LA Coliseum football games holds like 100,000 people, or I don't know, some crazy amount like that. And it took me, I don't know, like 2.5 hours to get off the freeway to find a parking spot. We were moving like, I don't know, like 10 feet every I don't know, 15 minutes, if that. And then, I don't know, we sat so far away from the stage. I'm basically watching like big screen, stuff on the big jumbotron, and then just hordes and masses, and then to get out of there, I don't know. It took so long. We were just like hanging out in the parking lot for a while. And that's the last time I ever went to go see like a gigantic concert like that. I said, I'm never going again. And that was like, it was all right, like 30 years ago. I do like going to concerts, but I always go like smaller club types of ones. I haven't been to one in a while though, but used to love going to them. But yeah, the big ones, I don't know. My sister's always telling me, hey, there some bands doing their farewell tour, you should go check it out. I'm like, I don't feel like it. I'm an old man. I'm a grumpy old man. Sit down. People like screaming in my ear. Okay, so let's add in some of these little highlights, okay? Like I said, I'd rather kind of add them in after I do that kind of little touch with the pigment ink, but like I said, I think this is better to do it now. It's probably a better technique for people to do too. If I'm kind of like demonstrating this, it'd be the better way to go because, as people are adding these little touches down, I don't want people's like pens to be clogging, getting frustrated with that and stuff like that too. So this would be the most user friendly, sequencing that we can do here. All right, so see this little wave right here. It's just kind of going back in and kind of reintroducing or maybe not reintroducing, but introducing the lighter values of it, just like it is on the stamp. But again, because I stamped it over, clouds and darker areas like right in here, those areas on the impression, the visible impression, become that dark. So this is just a real easy way we can just go back in and introduce that lightness into the piece like that. This is water on, whatever, sand right here in the shoreline, and to kind of make it a little bit more of a shimmery surface reminiscent of, wet sand at the beach. You can add this in there, and that really introduces that, that type of look into this area. It gives it that sparkle right here. Now, if this is like really, really dark in here, I'm probably not adding too much of this, but there's enough of these lighter areas around in here where there was some, cloud formations. Okay. So here we go like this. And like areas on the top sides of some of these rocks, just like on the waves, you can add or introduce, some highlighted areas like this. And the rocks already have kind of lighter areas in the design, so you're just kind of going in there and reiterating that with some additional white, especially if it's a little bit darker than that kind of white line or whatever stands out a little bit more. It's looking a little bit too busy again. That's why I usually like doing this personally after I apply the white pigment ink, because this looks like really nuts right now. It's super, super busy. But we'll show you how this all kind of comes together from a tactile kind of textural way with the pigment ink. All right, so here we go like that. I guess, you know, if you're doing this, you know, you can go a little bit overboard. And remember, I mean, when you add in the pigment ink, and if you decide, oh, I should have added more of the white, then just put the white, you know, right over the top of it, okay? I mean, I mean, if you add too many of these little dots like this, you could, you know, go in here and probably wipe some of these out, you know? Yeah, okay, so let's say I add too many. Being that this paper is so slick, now I don't want to go and wipe out areas in here because I might be wiping off some of my impression, but if it's like too many in here, see these little dots right here? Now, I don't think I added too many there. I think they look fine, but see this right here? I just, you know, it came right off. It's because this paper is just so slick and sealed off, you know, it really allows for, you know, kind of editing of some things that you, some of the media that you've already laid down on there. Is throwing markers. I think we should call it Shutterfly and ask them to go back to the original prints. I was thinking about asking them, but I was thinking, anyone I talk to, or you know, in customer service, they're not gonna know. Probably this is probably someone that maybe hasn't even had prints made, you know, before. That's kind of just on customer service, and they're going to be asking, you know, hey, you know, when is my order shipping out or something like that. I don't know if they're going to know like any of the printing types of processes. I don't know. They might know. Or there might be a little like a thing on their website too. You know, if there is some sort of a, you know, notification as far as new processes. It might have been, you know, from 5 years ago for all I know. All right, so adding in some highlights on my trees, on the tops of the tree branches. And maybe on the tops of some of these rocks. It stands out a little bit. All right, so a little bit of shimmer in there, a little bit of contrast. It just changes it a little bit from a textural standpoint. You notice I'm not going with the black. I got a bunch of these blue shaded tinges. Not my favorite colors of blue, right? But I thought it would go pretty well for a quote stamp on the outside like that. Looks reasonably three-dimensional, I think, coming around. All right, white pigment ink. Okay. On this horizon right here, where I'm kind of matching that up right in here, I think I want to make this a little bit lighter right in here. Now that I look at it, you know, this area in here would be the area, but I'll put a little pigment ink right in here so that it's a little bit lighter on the horizon, where this area on the horizon and up sky is a little bit lighter. So let's lighten this up a little bit so you can kind of tweak your values on your existing photo prints a little bit with the you know, the pigment inks like this. So let's see. We don't have, I don't have London Drugs here. We used to have more, but it seems like it's all like CVS and I don't know, what is that one other company? We used to have like Long's Drugs. I don't know what were national ones though here. You know, Target, of course. But I don't know, at some point in time, at least where I live, or lived, I didn't see any, I didn't even know of CVS before. And then at one point in time, it seems like they were opening up on like every corner, you know, like, you know, two store, two, you know, small like drive-through kind of areas, stuff like that, all over the place. And then soon after those ones, they built like a big old store. I don't know. All right, squeezing this off, getting kind of a nice narrow ink applicator here, and adding it into the lighter areas around these crashing waves here. So adding that kind of little glowing kind of touch to it. It's not glowing like too much. I need to add more here. Nothing like good customer service, though. I love it. Seems like customer service over the last, I don't know. It's really been a while, but I don't know. It seems like it's just not as good anymore in general. All right, you see that kind of glowing light in there like that? This area up here got a little bit lighter. Let's see. Here, let me hold this up like this. You can see it in there. Let's add some, like, especially right around in here, and let's mellow out this area by quite a bit, okay? It's just, everything is like super sharp and busy looking. It's a little bit too textured. And again, I kind of do that. I go a little bit overboard knowing that this technique is going to be employed in here, okay, to just mellow things out a little bit. And it's not just obliterating what you already did. I mean, you can still see all these textures underneath there, but we're cutting down the contrast between some of these textures and the background, so that it's not quite as extreme from a textural standpoint, a visual textural standpoint. Okay, I'm having some pretty good look on here. I didn't think, I mean, I'd be smearing any of the StazOn ink anyway. Yeah, underneath there, this is water-based, and the StazOn, of course, is solvent-based, but still, it's kind of nice, you know, when you're applying this type of technique and you don't see any media on here, be it the StazOn, the black, the alkaline coloring, you know what I mean? Those are locked down on there, so there's no kind of issues here with that. So right there, we added, you know, quite a bit right in there. Let's go a little bit more over here. I'm kind of being a little bit more gutsy here now. I usually don't add in that much, right, you know, on these pieces, but let's kind of test out the limits a little bit more. We'll make this really like an area of churning water. Let me try this too. Let me try getting a little bit of a... Let me try masking some of it off like this and getting some this little bit of light into like specific areas, but we'll leave the bottom of this area kind of crisp with the mask. Like that. See that right in there? And see, this area in here got a little blobby. I think when I stamped it, I think I kind of moved it a little bit, so... we can just go back in here like this, and instead of this hard mass of black like that, or gray-ish, let's just kind of break it up a little bit, or break it up a lot. Let's see how it looks. Let's go like that, something like that. See that in there? So I just kind of mellowed it out a little bit. Let's go with some over here. Now this is the type of thing that I would have added in more tone with my alcohol ink probably in here. Were this kind of the more traditional photo paper that I'm familiar with, at least. I don't know. But I don't know. Well, like I said, we'll tweak our kind of process accordingly, based on the the characteristics of this new paper. So yeah. Because we have to, because they don't take returns. I don't know. They probably would, but I'm not going to return these, these prints here. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm going pretty airy in here. It got pretty textural in there. All right, how does that look? It looks a little bit better, doesn't it? It looks more, when you add that in there like that pigment ink, it looks a little bit more like a painted type of surface to me. Just in terms of the, kind of the textural range of, the forms in here. You add that in there, and all's well. Okay, so I've added in the pigment ink in here and the acrylic paint pen work, the shadowing with, do you see those little shadows in here with the, that bluish tinge in there with the alcohol inks? I think it went on there pretty good. So here, let's add in, let's bring some of that quality, that kind of airy quality right there into our main stamp up here. So let's take that and let's just add it into a couple areas right in here. I don't think I'll add too much. Okay, maybe we'll add it around this tree to make this tree a little bit more illuminated by the light like that. Okay, so see that right there? It's kind of muted out a little bit. We'll go like that. I'm just going to leave the windows like that. I could probably add a white to it and it'll get a little bit more contrast in there, but I think it looks fine. Just as is. It's light enough. Okay, and we have that. Let's see. Let's go a little bit. We need a little bit more here. That's a little bit too meek of an application. Too careful. Let's see here. Let's go a little bit heavier up top like this. I'm going a little bit heavier because this area in here is really light. So, you know what I mean? So I'm adding quite a bit more in like that and down here to match that light. I usually don't have this big, huge area of light, in my scenes when I'm working with any kind of cardstock or anything like that. So I think that looks a little bit better like that. You know what I mean? Going a little bit more hardcore with that application of that. I could put some over here, but I think that looks just fine like that. And plus, I don't have a lot of this light area right in here, right around here. I mean, I could do it right there, but you could put a little bit of light coming through like that, but I don't think it really needs it. Okay, so this bottom section right here, what I was getting at before I forgot to do this white tone up here was I've saved this towards the end because that's what I did, just like I did in a previous scene. So if I want like some nice crisp impressions with like this grass right here, I'm going to put it in towards the end rather than having this in here and then applying that white pigment ink over the top of it. So kind of your final things. Doesn't have to be the reeds. I mean, it could be anything. you know, but if you want them crisp to contrast against this softer kind of lighting in there, or, you know, you want to frame things off a little bit more. I'm with you, Linda. This area in here looks pretty good. I don't know if I've done a lot. I don't know if I've done a lot of photo stamping horizon cards where I've used the photo down below like this. But that looks really, you know, sometimes people say, "Hey, that looks just like a photo," you know. This is one of the most photo real ones I think yet here. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you know when you look at this. I don't know if someone's going to look at this and say, "Okay, that's definitely a photo down there," you know. But all the imagery on up there, I like that look. Okay, so adding in, like I said, some more of this texture in here, and again with the stays on ink like that. Okay. With the stays on over some of that white, the stays on. I mean, the white absorbs some of that, so that's a little bit of a grayer impression right there. You see it right there, but I don't know. It looks pretty decent. I could have spray sealed down the white on there and then gone over there too, you know. But all right, let's take a look. And again, I think this is a prime, really perfect area for like a quote stamp. So I think I will put a quote stamp up there. The one that I used before on this kind of composition like that is love must be like as much of a light as it is a flame. I usually use that one with a aurora borealis, northern light type of thing, because it looks like a flame, you know, and it's a light too. So, all right, but I'll get these taped down. So I don't want to tape this down right now because I can get a much flatter. It's easier to stamp a quote stamp on there, kind of later on, you know, without this being taped down on here. The tape gives it a little bit of mass. Okay, so I need to allow this white ink to dry a little bit too down here, this water-based pigment ink. So that's drying on there, and these will both get spray sealed a little bit with the spray fixative again. So it's like 2 layers of the spray fix. So just remember that too. The spray fix, you can have multiple layers of spray fix. So you can just do something, and if you want to lock it down, you spray fix it, and then you can add different things to it, and then you can lock that down, and you know, just do that. It's just like using another medium in your arsenal. It doesn't have to be like an end kind of result type of thing that you do. Or the final step type of thing. It could be, you can be throwing it in during the entire process like that. All right, so if any of you haven't seen like these horizon cards, you are taking advantage of the interior kind of opening, you know, for a kind of a dramatic reveal of a card like that. So if you want to know what to put on the outside, I would put my greeting. Look at my fingers are a little bit smudgy. You know, you can put a greeting or something like that, and on the back of the card, that's where you put your, you know, to whoever. You know, you can put it right here too. I think it'd be better to have like a word stamp or whatever occasion it is right here. And you can have like an element or something like that, like a visual lead-in in there. You can have like a fish or a clam. Here, let me do something right here. But yeah, and then do your, you know, whatever to whoever, happy birthday, whatever, you know, on the back of it, you know, happy birthday, you know, hope you're having a great day, fishing, clamming, whatever. You put a fisherman out here. You know, for Father's Day or something like that, you know, if they like fishing. All right, so that was a really fun. I really like this. this kind of format here of the photo over photo horizon card. I think that worked pretty good. So again, I went with kind of a photo down here that didn't have like really super hardcore kind of value changes in there. Like, oh, I don't know, let me see, as an example. Like this one right here, you know, I don't know if I could stamp that out on something like this. You know what I mean? There's such kind of stronger contrasts in this one. So I kind of went with, you know, that I have some more of those muted photos in my album that you can download, and it's, you know, they're more malleable in terms of the things that you can stamp on there. See, like something like this for this area right in here, it, you know, like this whole area would be really distinct right in here. But if you go with kind of a more muted general type of background, a la, you know, something like this, you know what I mean? It's a little bit easier to conceal it. But on this one right here, you can see where you take advantage of the lighting and the texturing throughout here that's inherent in the photo. There's no way I would ever color something like this. I wouldn't think to color it like this, where there's a little bit light and there's this bluish tinge in here, you know what I mean? So there's something to be said for kind of starting off with kind of an already inherent textured background like that, because you come up with like things and you see things that you just normally wouldn't, because we just wouldn't color something like that. Like if we were to do like clouds or something like that too, I don't know if anyone, you know, Deanna might do something like that with her cool, you know, pastel, you know, pan pastel types of techniques on something like that. But I would never do that, you know, stamping out a cloudy sky or something of that sort. Let's see here. Glad you like it, Jeannie. Hello, Donna. Thanks so much. Cecile, you missed the first part. Stays on, yeah. The green, what kind of ink? Oh, the green. So we used a little bit of alcohol inks like this, but then we have the acrylic paint pen ink like that. Or did someone else get that for you or answer it for you? So, but it's, okay, so the thing that you missed too was I stamped the imagery down with the stays on, but you know how alcohol ink will kind of smear around the stays on ink impressions, you know, the solvent ink impressions potentially with the alcohol. It puts it back into solution. So what I did was I took this, and during this this live stream, I just went outside and sprayed this imagery right here, and a lot of this imagery right in here especially, with a Krylon spray fixative, and it locked down the colors pretty good. It would lock it down even more if I put in like a second coat, but I just went out there really fast and I just did one coat. And it locked it down pretty good, but like I said, 2 or 3 coats. And I think we can use alcohol inks on there pretty freely because it's not mixing now with the stays on ink, and I think that'd be a good technique. I love this look right here. It's just that, like, again, we had to tweak it, you know, with the use of the sealant. Okay, now I was able to get some types of alcohol ink coloring in there, but it's a little bit precarious, you know, if you get in anywhere around, if you're running that alcohol ink over an exposed, like, solid rock like that with a lot of ink in it, as you're running that alcohol ink, especially if your alcohol ink pen is, like, really juicy, it's going to totally drag some of that, even dry, stays on ink out. So just simple, I don't know, it took like, you know, I don't know, just a few seconds to spray seal it. So it opens up the coloring opportunities again in there with, you know, that one can of it. So thanks, Megan. Let's see. You like it, huh? One of my best. That's good, because it's like, I don't know, I guess this wasn't a real quick card. It's like I'm going on an hour right now, but I don't know. It was like an experiment again. So I think we're there, almost there though, in terms of a good. I think we've unlocked our technique here potentially, at least in terms of using our alcohol inks again. Just hit it with Krylon spray fixative, and just like with a lot of different surfaces out there, that if we don't know if we can stamp on them or not, StazOn's a pretty good bet to use on them. And then, like I said, a lot of us have, some forms of alcohol pens. So just get a can of Krylon, spray fixative. I don't know how much it is in Canada for Linda. But right now, like on Amazon, it's like, I don't know, it's the cheapest it's been by like, I don't know. It says it's 50% off, but it's not, the cans aren't $16, manufacturer retail price. But it seems like it's like $4 off. It seems like it's like 30% off. And it's still that. I ordered like 2 cans like a couple weeks ago, I think it was. And it's still that same price. So if you're ever going to buy some, now's a pretty good time. If you get things on Amazon, you have Amazon Prime or something like that. But they should have, if you have a good art store near you, they should have it too. I don't know, are there art stores around anymore? Okay, so let's see. Glad you like it, Linda. Looking forward to if anyone plays around with the photo stamping pieces. I hope you have fun with it, and I'd be curious to know if I don't know if anyone's going to think to. Okay, I gotta go back on that this video right here, but you know what I mean, if you ever think about it or something like that, if anyone orders some prints anywhere, test and see if you can use your water-based dye inks on it, and if that's working, tell us where you got the prints from, stuff like that. Or let's see if this new kind of coating on these is kind of an industry-wide thing where it's kind of all about the StazOn inks. So yeah, but I think this, like I said, I really gotten to really enjoy photo stamping, after really not doing it for, I don't know, it's probably like 2 decades or something like that. I don't know, I haven't done it in a really long time, and I didn't do it a lot back when they were kind of came out with that technique. I always throw his name out there because he's the developer of this, but the guy's name was Randall Curry, and it was like in the mid to late 90s or something like that. He started trying out photographs to stamp on, and I don't know. It was a really cool kind of twist on, the whole scenic stamping genre. So, yeah. All right. Oh, you have your own kind of. Everyone, we all wish we can stamp like you too, Jeannie. Stamp expressionism. There's not too many people doing stamp expressionism. Yeah, it's truly an original. It was fun here. I really like how this part came together. Okay, it was looking like way too busy for me down there, but again, it's like I can't tell you how many times that white pigment ink. It kind of saves me. It saves a lot of designs for me, or cards for me. It's like the ultimate kind of remedy for all, I don't know, not all, but for about 90% of my scenes that if I don't like a certain area, or if there's like a problem area on a piece, when I add in that white pigment ink, usually coupled with the, like a white pigment ink, or a white paint pen. Nowadays I'm using the colored pens too. But it's those little finishing touches that kind of bring it all together for me, usually. Yeah, they really saved me. And that was no different on here. So I don't know. Didn't you guys agree? I mean, some of this area in here was looking real heavy-handed and like too textured and too dark, But then now we have this like glowing light in there. So it's like this area in here that was like a problem area is now, for me, it's the strength of it. Having this kind of this glowing light in here, it really changes the entire spirit of the piece, and it makes this area down here a little bit more. It's more atmospheric and kind of dreamy looking, I think. That's why in movies, you know, they always have like that those fog machines going off in the background. It adds that whole atmosphere into the piece, and it makes things a little bit more. Oh, it's more visually rich and inviting. So, yeah, give it a try. If you have any problems with it, send me an email. Say, hey, Kevin, I'm trying that technique. This is what I'm getting right here. We'll get you, moving in whatever direction. It's usually just, apply a little bit less ink or something like that. And with the white, if you apply too much, you can just wipe it right off and just kind of, or a lot of times I used to tell people that I remove more ink than I apply. So I was constantly like adding, and then I would take it was like adding too much, and I would just take my finger and I'd dab it off a little bit so that ink would come off. So I was like removing a lot of it like that to get about the right amount. But somewhere along the line, I just started applying like a lighter amount of it at any given time. So I just use less pigment ink on my cotton ball. You know what I mean? So it takes me a little bit longer to build it up, but then I have more control over it. So, yeah. Let's see. So could you spray the photo with the fixative first and be able to use the dye? No, I don't think the dye-based inks are going to stick to the Krylon spray fixative. Okay, Zale. It's not, spray fixative isn't really kind of designed for like a water-based liquid application over the top of it. Now I say that though, but I do know like illustrators in the past. I know this one professional illustrator that did, I think he did oils or something like that. And he was going for all these different types of techniques where he'd spray seal, not with a spray fixative, but with like a thicker acrylic spray. And that was becoming part of his technique. He would lock down these layers of transparent oil washes, to get these really kind of amorphic shapes too, because he'd spray fix like wet oils. So you'd get these kind of separations and things like that, these textures that are getting locked down in between the layers like that. So, but as far as like a water-based one, I just don't think it would grab, because it's still an acrylic spray, but it's just kind of a little bit more textured. You might be able to get some types of applications, but I don't think you're going to be getting like a deep, crisp, like impression, like stamp impression on top of, the spray fixative. 1 can of spray fixative is 15. Yeah, that's about double our price right here. I think down here it was like 8 something. So yeah, I don't know what the exchange rate is up there. It's undeliverable to your address. I think I've seen that before with some sprays. I don't know. Yeah. It shouldn't be though, Cecile. I'm sure you can get that like at I don't know, do you have any art stores out your way? I gotta think that you can get it somewhere though, Cecile. It's not gotta be like that's like a standard I don't know, pretty standard. Check out and see if that's the case with like another, just type in like art spray fixative or something like that and see if those other ones come up. Like, I don't know, we were trying to think of some other brands like Grumbacher or something like that that are similar. The Krylon's just probably, it's one of those big mass brands. It's going to be cheaper than like if a Winsor Newton or Grumbacher has it, in the art brand stores or something like that. But I don't know. Can you get the like the Krylon UV resistant clear or the Krylon crystal clear and stuff like that? I gotta imagine it's the same type of thing, unless those are all banned, to your area. Yeah, Walmart's hardware paint section. I know like a Walmart would have a or like a Home Depot has like the polymer sprays. The what are those called? Polyurethanes. Okay, they have the polyurethanes for sure in those hardware areas, but I don't know if they're going to have a fixative. Now, if you're saying they do, that'd be awesome. But the spray fixative would be like probably in the art section, I would imagine, unless they just have all those cans just, conveniently located in one area. Let me see the Krylons though. The clear sprays sometimes are under in the locked key cage. Go get an employee type of thing. So maybe I don't know. Maybe check their Ace Hardware types of places. Maybe they would have a fixative. I'm not sure. True Value has crime. I don't know if they're gonna have the True Values. I don't know if they're gonna have like a in store like a Krylon spray fixative though, Laura. Would they? I know they, like I said, they have the Krylon Crystal Clear as the more kind of industrial based one, where you're spraying like outdoor furniture with it and stuff like that. Okay, they have fixative in the craft department. Okay, yeah, if they have a craft department, like I said, it's a really standard thing for charcoals, graphite, pastels, whatever, Conte crayon, chalks, all those types of things that they would use like in an art school or high school art classes. High school art classes, they might be spraying with like a hairspray, just to lock things down, not to make things more workable. But that's like the spray fixative is like one of the most like fundamental things that they make you get in art classes, because those beginning drawing, beginning life drawing, it's always using that dry, usually soft media, like those ones I just mentioned, like that. And you really have to be able to lock those things down, otherwise you're going to get all smudgy. And then if you're using them for your submitting that type of thing for your end of semester portfolio, they pretty much have to be locked down. Otherwise, they're going to be like, people handling it. You get it all over your hands like that. So, yeah. All right. Glad you guys, I don't know, seemed like you guys liked the piece. I really like this lower section here. I'm going to have to rethink, stamping on photographs for areas like this now. Now I'm thinking I should have got some more of those prints that are kind of a little bit more general. I got a lot of stuff that are kind of geared towards like vellum stamping. So I need to get some spray adhesive again. I'm out of it. But these types of pieces like this are really going to be fun for the vellum cards, and having those types of things in the background. I didn't have like strong contrasty backgrounds like this that would show through vellum, so I really like doing that, like birch trees or something like that in the foreground. And I really needed some contrasty, high contrast background. So this is like the more kind of things that I've been stamping on though. Or like this one down here, it was, I don't know, something really low contrast, like that type of thing. So, all right. So learning all the time. Thanks for jumping in and on these little experiments like this. And like I said, I hope that you guys give this a try here with whatever techniques, the horizon cards, the reflection cards, the photo stamping, stuff like that. It can really make for some really fun and relatively quick. Okay, I'm trying to learn things and play around with things on here, but I think if I was to do this, just knowing what I was going to stamp in here, I think I can come up with this, and I think I can do this card in, I don't know, 25 minutes or something like that. Just stamping these images out, spray sealing, and then just going back in and doing that. So maybe I'll try to do some kind of quick versions of these now that we have kind of the sequencing down. Or I'll come on with the video after I've stamped the imagery out and spray sealed it, and that should make a pretty quick video too, and we'll see how, we'll see what we can do with the coloring and how heavy we can layer like brighter tones. I'll do an autumn scene or something like that up there with a lot of autumn tones, and we'll see how much we can apply like alcohol inks in mass over, a sealed image, and we'll see if it kind of, those alcohols will, what I'm curious if they'll start dissolving the spray fixative that's already been applied. I think the spray fixative is going to stand up to it though, but yeah, not exactly sure. All right, thanks everyone. Hope to see you on the next live. Coming up in, let's see, 4 hours from now. This is exciting stuff. When I start doing other things, it's like, I gotta get, after I see like this thing come together like this, I gotta get back and like do another scene or something like that. And it's especially exciting with the spray fixative, revelation here. So yeah, fun stuff. All right. Good night, everyone. See you, Megan. Glad you liked it.